Well, welcome back, everyone, and good morning. Again, my name is Ildy Morris, and I'm from edX, and we are really, really happy to see such a fantastic turnout on day 2. We're a little cozy in here today, but I think that just shows what great interest there is in edX, and it makes us really, really excited to work with you all. So today, we are going to get hands-on into a sandbox, which is really a practice environment of the edX platform. And you're going to have access to 2 environments. One is the learning management side, where students would actually see the course and participate in the course, in addition to the course authoring side, which we call Studio. So everyone should have a little card sitting at their table with some URLs and a username and password. And if you don't have a card, raise your hand. There might be some extras sitting on the table. Just to make sure if anyone's missing any, let us know now and we'll find one for you. Okay, looks good. So I'm just going to go over at a high level what we're going to do. So the first thing, actually, I can have everyone do, you should all be on the wireless network. If you're not yet, go ahead and do that. And I believe it's the same credentials as yesterday, which was IsraelX. And okay, if you have issues getting on the wireless, again, raise your hand and someone will come over and help. I don't know, Zach, if you want to see if they can. That table doesn't. Okay. Oh dear. I didn't know. It was table-specific internet access over there. So our goal today really is to teach you not just the basics of how to use the edX platform, but also how to be self-sufficient. There is a ton of content and a ton of features and functionality in our software. So one of the ways to become self-sufficient is to know where to go for help and for more information. So please go ahead and open a browser if you haven't already. And by the way, our software runs best on Chrome or Firefox. It does not run quite as well on Internet Explorer, so please use Chrome or Firefox. And everyone should navigate to this URL, docs.edx.org. Okay? And once you get to docs.edx.org, please bookmark that site. This will become your best friend site, at least for today, and maybe in the future. And because our software is open source, this site is publicly available to anybody. It's not hidden behind a firewall. And we keep this documentation very well up to date. And it is a great place to go and look up how to do certain features and functionality. Okay. So quick check-in, any questions so far? Is everyone able to get to docs.edx.org? And if not, raise your hand and make sure we're all keeping pace. Okay, great. So the first thing we're going to do now that you have your help site ready and available, I would suggest to keep that tab open or keep that window open. You'll see this URL on the little card, but the first thing we're going to do is actually go into studio-israelx.edu.sandbox.edx.org. Okay. This URL should also be on your card. We have created sort of dummy practice accounts for each one of you. So everyone's username and password is going to be a little bit different. Your username will be something like flat2 with a number at example.com, I think it is. And then everyone's password is going to be the same. Again, it should be on the card. It should say flat2 training, all lowercase. So the URL is the studio-israelx.edu.sandbox.edx.org, and then you log in with the credentials we have on the card.
If at any time, if you guys have questions, if you just raise your hand, I'll try and run over.
Is it flat 2 or flat U?
Whatever's on the card.
It's flat2, F-L-A-T-U. So once you log in, you should see a site that has this banner at the top that says IsraelX Studio. Does everyone see that? Okay, if you don't see IsraelX Studio, again, raise your hand. So we're going to keep everyone moving here. Okay, so you are now in the course authoring platform. This is the software, this is the URL that you would go to actually create a course. We've given everybody course creator privileges, okay? So what that means is anyone now in this room can go in. You should all see this green button, create new course, plus new course. Everyone see that? So the good news is anyone in here can create a course. The bad news is anyone in here can also delete stuff in people's courses. So if you're going to delete something, please delete your own course or your own content. Please don't delete ours or somebody else's. That would be great. You should also have access to this list of practice courses that people have already started to do and play around with. Okay? So let's all go ahead and try creating a new course. Now, you can all create an individual course, but if you're actually working with a partner and you're sitting with them, you might want to create one course and both of you work in it simultaneously. The advantage to doing that is that you'll have a better experience of what it's really like to work on a course with someone else. You can add each other as course team members to the course, but it's up to you. So you can each create a course and then decide to work on one later. Yes, question?
What's the difference between new course and a new library?
So new library is a more advanced feature. We are going to cover it later today. But to answer your question quickly, a new library gives you the opportunity to create essentially a library bank of content assessments. So down the line, if you wanted to create just like a library of, say, math assessments or algebra assessments, you could do that, and you could have your course point to that library, and it will randomly pull in different assessment questions from that library into your course. And the reason we have it set up independently like that as a separate library is any course within this LMS, if you grant privileges, could use assessment questions from the library. Okay, but for now, we're just going to start with the course, start with the basics. So you can go ahead and start to create your new course. So again, you are in a practice environment. Nothing here is going to persist. So you can create a course on, I don't know, maybe a course you're actually working on, or something more fun, like how to make a really good margarita. It's up to you. And we do have some examples here on how to create the course information. So this is the course name would be at the top. So I'm going to call this my Israel X training demo course. Under organization, this is where you would put the organization you're affiliated with. The course number, so again, not important for today, but down the line, this number will appear in the URL of your course. So if you have a naming convention at your organization, so in the US, we have naming conventions like 101 for intro courses and 201. Whatever the naming convention is that you use at your organization, you could put in here just for today.
Another question?
Yes, yeah.
What about Hebrew?
So this platform, and I'll let Zach jump in with more details, but this platform will be translated into Hebrew. But it is not today. This is, again, just to be a practice session to give you an idea, but that is a long-term plan. So I'll let Zach jump in.
Sorry, and just to repeat the question for the folks in the overflow room, it was, what about a Hebrew? And Hebrew is coming. That's going to be on the platform once it's more widely available, which will probably be around the May timeframe. That's as well as right to left, so sort of the full support of what you'd expect with Hebrew would be available then. Just for the purposes of our training today, that functionality isn't fully available yet. But it will be there, so thanks for bearing with us for English, both spoken and written today. Yeah.
We're always ready to use backwards languages. That's okay.
I can't actually argue with that, so.
Backwards, I was talking left to right, not backwards in time.
Okay, sorry, the comment for the overflow room is there's willingness to work with backwards languages, so thank you.
I have to say, I personally would not want to learn English. It's very inconsistent. Okay, so once you put in your, question in the back?
I think it just might be more for help.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay, so go ahead and put in your credentials, and you can click the Create button. And everyone should see a screen that looks something like this, course outline at the top. Everybody see that? And it'll say you haven't added any content yet, in case you didn't know that already. If anyone's not here at this stage, again, raise your hand. So the question was, how long will the sandbox remain open? It'll remain open for some amount of time, but not, I'm sorry, what?
90 days until mid-May. You might want to repeat it.
Okay, so the question was, the sandbox will remain open for 90 days till about mid-May. So, and then we're going to clean it out. So don't get too attached to anything you build in here. So, okay. So if everyone, or most people are at this point now, go ahead and click New Section. And this is the top level organizer. And one way that you could think of what is a section, it could be, so if you're using like a university course as an example, this could be like 1 week's worth of content. And within a section, you could have several lessons. As we talked about yesterday, there's a lot of flexibility in the platform. You can really build this out any way you want. But just for today, just for the sake of illustration, let's go ahead and call this like week 1 of your course. And again, you can name it whatever you would like. And you'll notice once you type it in, it'll save automatically if you just click outside of the box. So there's some features in Studio that when you type in titles, names, that kind of thing, it'll save automatically. There's other areas where you do have to click Save buttons, so I will call that out when there's a difference there. Okay? So now we're going to go under the week 1 section, and you should have a button that says New Subsection. Go ahead and click that, and you can, just maybe for the sake of clarity, name it week 1 subsection, or lesson 1 if you would like. And again, if you click outside of the box, it'll save automatically. Okay? Question, Zach? What?
Just zoom in a little bit.
Command plus. How's that? Can everyone see that better? Okay. All right. So at this point, we just have these 2 levels here, sections at the top level, subsections at the next level. There's a 3rd level that you can go down called a unit. And I just want to pause here for a minute and just say, as a student, what you're going to see on the LMS side is in the left menu bar is only going to go as deep as the subsection. Okay? So when you're thinking about your course layout and your navigation, the left menu bar is only going to show the section title and the subsection. It's not going to show this unit. To show that unit, you actually have to click into the subsection and look at the content from there. Okay? So again, just keep that in mind in terms of how you're going to lay out your course in the future. Okay, so now I'm going to have everyone go ahead and click the New Unit button, and we're going to go down to the 3rd level. So I want people to think of the unit as really a page of content. That's kind of the best way I can frame it. The section and subsection, as you can see, there's nowhere to actually add course content there. They're really just organizers, kind of like folders. The unit is where you would add content, and think of a unit as kind of like a page. So yesterday, when we were looking at courses in the edX.org platform, and I talked about the learning sequence across the top, you saw that navigation bar, and they were comprised of boxes. And if you hovered over the boxes, sometimes it would show like a text, sometimes it would show a video, like you could kind of get a preview of what was in each box. This unit page that we're building now is essentially one of those boxes in the learning sequence. So you can have, as you can see, many content components that go down 1 unit, or you could choose to just have 1 content component and have more units going to the right on the learning series. So let's go ahead and build some of these pages, and what we're going to do is we're going to publish and then preview, and you can see what it looks like in the LMS side. Okay, just to give you an idea. And again, this is just practice content. So for Unit 1, you can again name it whatever you want. I'm going to call mine Lesson 1, Learning Objectives. It's good best practice, you know, whatever, but it can be whatever you would like. And here, you should have 4 buttons. The first button we're going to choose for today is the HTML button. Now, don't be scared off. How many people in this room know HTML? Raise your hand. Okay, excellent. You'll notice I didn't raise my hand. I don't really know HTML. You do not need to know HTML to add HTML components. All HTML means is this is a way that you can add text to your course, the actual written up content. So let's start with the top choice. There's many choices here, text, announcement. We don't need to worry about those. Let's just choose text for now. Okay. And again, if you're not at this page, raise your hand, and we've got people in the back to help you along. And so you're going to see this component here. It's going to tell you it's a text component. To now add actual text to it, you're going to click this Edit button. And what we have is a WYSIWYG editor. What you see is what you get. So again, you don't need to know HTML to type in some text and content that you can format and make it look nice. So here you could put in go ahead and type in whatever text you want. It could be practice, anything.
Can you see the stores also?
You can, yeah, you can. I'll show that in 1 second. So for now, let's just type in some basic text. In this lesson, you will learn how to build a course. You know, just some examples. Okay. Now, if I want to say bold this, it's just like Microsoft Word, the menu. It's very, very similar. I can choose some text, and I can go ahead and bold it. If I want to make this a bulleted list, again, highlight it, choose my bullets. If I want to include a link or email address or something, you could highlight the text. And over here on the right, there's this little link. Do you see that? You could put in a URL of where you want to go and the text. And then for a target, you could choose none if you wanted that URL to reload on your page. Or I would suggest you choose a new window. So I'm actually going to change this to docs.edx. So I'm actually going to change this, the text, and I'm going to have it say the documentation site. Please go to, okay. And let's go ahead and save this, whatever you've typed in. Okay, and it should look like what you expect it to look like when you've saved it. Okay, has everyone able to save something so far? Okay, so someone is asking me about, well, if you know HTML, how can I actually see it in HTML? So down over here, we have a button for where you can go and edit it in HTML. There's an HTML button there that you can use. If you are absolutely committed to using HTML, you can change the way the component is going to be revealed, and you can go from visual to the raw editor by going to the settings. So you go to settings, and you could change the editor to raw editor, and then just build it all out in HTML if you'd prefer. And then every time you go to that component, it'll default to the raw editor. Okay. If you wanted to change the display name, you would do that here. So, and this would be a good practice because your users are going to see when they hover over the unit and the component, they will see text. And instead, what you want them to see is what's actually the content in there. So you could change the display name to learning objectives. How's everyone doing? Again, if you're not as far along as having saved one HTML component, raise your hand and we'll have someone come over and help you. Okay, excellent. Excellent. So let's go back to the outline. If you go ahead and click on week 1 or at the high-level outline, there's a little breadcrumb path at the top, and if you click back, that'll take you to this view here. And this is where you could go to add another unit. So let's go ahead and, for practice, just add another unit below the one you just did. It's going to tell you here that you have unpublished content, and that's okay. We're going to publish it in a minute. So let's create another unit. And you can give it whatever name you would like. And let's go ahead and add another HTML component. And we can choose text again. And once you get to adding it, you can then go in and edit. And so this could be where you would put maybe an explanation of what you're going to cover in this particular lesson, where you could say, in this lesson, we're going to cover whatever the content is, or what the instructions are for the learner. Please watch this video, and when you're done, go and take the assessment, whatever content you want. So you can go ahead and type in some practice content. Okay, I'm just putting in some text. Again, it doesn't have to be very much. We just want to put a little content in there. And again, to change the name at the top that students will see, if you click on Settings, you're going to change the display name to whatever title you want to give that HTML component. And then save. Make sure you save. Okay. So at this point, everyone should have a heading for a section, a subsection, and have created 2 units that have 2 HTML components, 1 in each. Okay, did everyone get that far? Awesome, that's great. Okay, now there's a couple of ways to publish, and you can do either one. One way is over on the right here, we have a big blue publish button. So at this point, you can go ahead and publish your work from here. The other place to publish is if you go back to the outline, you'll notice we have a bunch of these icons here, right? And so this little looks like a server with an arrow icon. If you click this publish button at the top level, it's going to publish everything below within that section. So that's the fastest way to publish the most amount of content, is at the top level per section. And once you click it, all those little icons should go away. So anytime you make changes, that little icon is going to pop up once you save them and say, hey, you haven't published this yet. So you get a visual reminder that way. Okay, make sense? So there's a few buttons over here on the right. Depending upon what page you are, both pages you should, after you publish, have the option to view it live. So now you can go ahead and click View Live. And this will open a new window, and this will show you what your course will look like once it's live. Yes, question?
I did that, and it asks me to sign in.
So I would sign in again, but there's a little button below that's a little checkbox, I think that says to remember me. Check that off, and hopefully you won't have to do that too often. So.
On the sandbox, it might happen occasionally.
Yeah. So again, because we are in a sandbox environment, normally that doesn't happen, but I've been noticing it's happening a little bit more. Yeah, same credentials. Yeah, the same credentials that you used to log in before. Okay. Does everybody see their content? So you should see 2 units here in your first learning sequence ever. Congratulations. And when you hover over each of the unit, you're going to see that title that you typed in, the text component. Yeah. Oh, as before. I'm going to see if... hey, Zach, do you mind helping this gentleman sign in? When you sign in again, don't use the Facebook credentials, use the one that we gave you.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We're talking about
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
No, so it's not the same user as
No.
IsraelX and edX.org are different.
Exactly, exactly. Yes. So just to repeat the questions for the people in the overflow room. So when we created an account on edX.org yesterday, that was a separate account. That's your own personal account. You can use that whenever you want. The accounts that we're using this morning to access the sandbox environment, these are dummy accounts. I mean, you can use them for the next 90 days, but they are going to go away. So we're just going to use those credentials for signing in for today. Okay. So again, when you hover over your learning sequence, the text that you typed in for that unit and the HTML component should show up. Okay? Any questions on that? If that hasn't happened, you can go back and edit it. Okay. So now, what I want you to look at is actually the URL. So if you look at the URL, this is a different URL when you're viewing it live than when you're viewing it in Studio, right? Because we're two different environments. We've got our course authoring environment in Studio, and then we've got our LMS environment. So if you look carefully at your URL, it should say israelx.sandbox.edx.org and then courses. And then this information after course, like V1, this should match the information that you typed in when you created your course, right? So when we were saying this is going to show up in your URL, if you want to know what that's going to look like, you can see it here. I'm sorry, what? Yes, exactly, exactly.
With the plus sign?
Yes, it'll show up like that. Yeah. Now, in terms of Google and search, that's a whole other. So, you know, once we get farther along in our relationship, we have a whole like marketing strategy and approach, and we will work with course teams to come up with titles that have the highest SEO, search engine optimization in Google, to make sure that when people search on content, they can find your course. So we can give recommendations on that, absolutely. But that's not going to cover that today. So. Okay, so any questions so far? We're in the sandbox LMS environment. And if you click back to the tab next to it, you should have access to Studio, right? Everyone has those two windows? Okay, great. So I want you to go back to Studio, and now we're going to actually add an image or a picture or something to show you how to do that. Okay? So go back to Studio, and again, if you're not sure, there should be this big logo, IsraelX Studio, in the upper left-hand corner, and we want to do a little more editing to our course. So if you go under Content menu, we're going to go down to Files and Uploads. And the files and uploads area is where you would store your imagery that's going to go into the course and any PDF files that you want people to link to in your course. Yes?
Which type of files can you upload? Images and PDF?
Yes, yes. Yeah. And, okay. There are ways to add others, but I can cover that with you later. So for now, we're just going to add an image. So go ahead and click Upload your first asset. It'll tell you right here what the size limit is, which is 10 megabyte. And for today, just choose any photo that's on your computer, you know, of your family pet, your family, whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to choose. And once it's done uploading, this green bar will say 100%, and then you don't have to do anything else. Okay, you don't have to like click it or anything, but once it's done uploading, it'll tell you. We're all uploading at the same time, so it's taking a little longer than usual. Oh, so under content, then files and uploads. So content is on the left side of the top menu. Are people able to add? Okay. Is everyone else done but me? Am I the only one who's taking the longest? Of course, that figures. Okay. Anyway. I know. This is where we're pushing the limit, but I'm almost there. Well, I'm glad it's me waiting and not everyone out there. That's better. Okay. So once you have your image, it'll show up in your files and uploads area, right? And there's two URLs to the right. One says studio, the other says web, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to want to highlight that studio URL that goes with your image, and you want to copy it into your cache. So do Control-C or, you know, whatever, or Command-C, whatever machine you're on. And once you have that copied over into your cache, you're then going to go back to your course outline and go back into your text component. Okay, so you're going to want to navigate back to the outline, go back to the unit, and choose the text component that you want to add your image. I'm sorry I can't demo it right now, but I generally know where you're going. Is it okay over there? Oh, okay. Well, thank you for helping her. Okay.
We're a little bit behind.
Okay. We can always catch up at lunch if you need to. That's fine. Okay. So did everyone get back to their HTML component? Okay. So when you get back to your HTML component, you want to click that edit button again. And then maybe just at the top of the page, wherever you want to put your image, there is a button on the menu bar that looks like a little picture. If you hover over it, it'll say Insert Picture or Insert Image. Everybody see that on the menu bar? Okay. I'm actually just going to quit out of here and show you. Oh, okay. No, it's fine.
Just to make sure, repeat the questions.
Okay. Okay. So if I want to add my image here, I'm going to go in and edit my text, and in the top right area of the menu bar, it'll say Insert Picture. And when you click that Insert Picture, you're going to have a place to put in the source, which is a URL that you've copied. There, you're going to want to paste it in. And again, it should be the studio URL. Below that, you're going to be asked to provide a description of the picture. So I'm going to pause here for a minute and just talk 1 minute about accessibility. So depending upon your country's requirements, is really dependent upon how big of an issue this is. So in America, we have the American Disabilities Act. This is a huge issue for us. Everything that is publicly available needs to be accessible.
Ask to repeat the last part. All the people outside, they missed it.
Oh, okay. Is Mark out there?
No. Yes.
Okay. 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 I will review the last part in 1 minute. So the source goes here that you use, the image description. So again, if accessibility is a requirement for your country and your organization, and if your image is relevant to the content on the page, you should type a description, okay? If it's not relevant, if it's like a picture of a flower or some imagery, you don't have to type anything. It's only if it's content specific, okay? That's sort of the guidelines we go by. So you can leave it blank for now. Yes, question? It could, yes, it definitely could. So somebody asked, the image description would be helpful with SEO and for search, and it probably would, absolutely. But for this audience, I don't know that you need to be overly concerned. Sometimes people are. So you put in your source, and then you just click OK, and your photo should show up at the top. Okay, did that work for everybody? All right, so I'm going to repeat the steps for the folks in the back room who we're going to review that again. So to add an image, you go under Content, you go to Files and Uploads, and my machine's running very slow. And from Files and Uploads, you would click Upload a new asset. You would choose something off of your hard drive, your computer that's been saved. There's a limit of 10 megabytes. Once it has been saved, you can just click out of there. You don't have to click on a green button or anything. And then that image will show up in a list under Files and Uploads. Let's see if I can load it yet. And then there's two URLs next to the image. One is called Studio. The other is called Web, I think. So then you're going to want to copy the Studio URL either through Command-C or Control-C. Let me do that now. Try it again. Oh, now it's a lot faster. Let's see. I have to do it again. Oh, there it is. Okay. Open a what? I'm sorry. Oh, on my phone? Okay, thank you. I'll see how much data my international plan will let me use, though. Okay, so there's my image. Command-C. Capture that in my cache. So again, when you are course authoring in Studio, what we recommend is you have this Files and Uploads page open separately all the time, so you can just jump back and forth between different tabs and then copy and paste the imagery that you use. And the other reason we have it organized like this, so for example, let's say you want to create a very consistent look and feel in your course, which most people do. You want to have a logo that shows up consistently. You want to have any other kind of banner or other assets that you're going to reuse, you can just store it all in this one area and then reuse that URL repeatedly throughout different parts of your course without having to add it into many areas. Question? Yes?
Any option to put art or title for the image?
To change this title? Oh.
Art or title?
Oh, alt text? Yeah, in the description. So I'll show you. So the question was, is there a way to add an alt text for the image? And there is once you add it to the page. So I'll go walk through that now. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go back to Content Outline.
I think you should know that being a small head in Israel is not considered a positive thing.
I'll make sure to change the title next time. Small ildy next time. So quick check for people in the room. How many people were successfully able to add a picture? So just about everybody. Okay. Okay, that's great. You're ahead of me. Try again. Okay. All right, so I'm going to come around while this is loading and do a quick check-in around. So everyone here is able to add an image? Am I the only one? Good, that's good. Everyone here is able to add an image? Yeah. Okay, you guys an image, so I'm going to keep moving. If you are still having questions or are lost, raise your hand, and Zach or someone else will come by and help you out. Okay, so I'm going to abandon this page and move on. One of the assets that we've created for all of you for training for the rest of today, I want to show it to you now. So we're actually going to leave Studio, and you're going to go back to the LMS side. Where you were, when you published and then you viewed it live, okay? So you should be on the LMS side now. And in the upper left-hand corner, there should be this Israel X logo. Go ahead and click on that, okay? So again, this is the side, and this is just sort of, excuse me, a practice site, but this is the student experience. When they come to the LMS, they'll see something like this. And the courses that they are enrolled in will show up here. Now, because you have course creator access, you're going to see, perhaps you can see your course, you might see a few others. Does everyone see a course called edX Training? Does anybody see a course called edX Training? No, you don't.
Only our own courses. Our own courses.
I'm sorry, what? Well, before... Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do it that way? Okay, so if we click, we can try the search and look for edX Training. See it there? Okay. So go ahead and click on it. And I'm already enrolled, but you'll probably get a message that says, click to enroll. Does everyone see that? So I want everyone to actually enroll in this edX Training course. Okay. Raise your hand if you aren't able to enroll in it or you don't see it on the shingle. Okay. So, so Zach, when you're done, to float forward. So just to review those steps, if you're on this page, if you click Find New Courses, it should take you to a different page that lists the courses that are on this Sandbox LMS. And edX Training should be in that list, okay? If it's not there when you click Find New Courses, raise your hand again. Okay. So go ahead and enroll in the edX Training course, and I want you to go into it, and you should end up on the home page. There should be a little photo of Tel Aviv Beach. Everybody see that photo? Everyone should be on a page like this. Are they? Okay, excellent. Excellent. So you'll also notice at the top, there's this drop down. Everybody see a drop down? So again, remember, this is my Training X course. Please don't delete anything. I worked very hard on it. No, I'm kidding. We can definitely recreate it. We have other copies. But just so you know, you're going to be viewing this course, again, with Course Creator Access. So you're going to be seeing more right now than a student would normally see. If you want to see this course from a student perspective, we have this drop down here at the top. It's going to default to staff because you have staff access. But if you wanted to look at the course from a student perspective, and again, this will be very useful to you once you're done creating your course, you want to go through it and check and really see what the students would see, you can change the role. Okay? Now, the reason there's more than one role, there's specific student and all these other students, is because sometimes when I create, when I run training, I will create a cohort of training participants, which we'll get into a little more detail this afternoon. But suffice it to say that you have the ability to create small student groups and give them a very distinct user experience where they will have access to their own private discussion area, they'll have access to their own content, no one else can see it. It's a little bit of a manual process. You actually have to add them, you know, you can upload them as a CSV file. And so you, as a course creator, have full control of whoever's in that cohort. But again, it's a nice feature to keep in mind if you do want to only show some discussions or show some content to certain students. That's the way that you could do it. So again, I could preview this as students in different cohorts, and that's a great way to test out the content. But we won't do that now. So if you go, so this is a home page. So this is a landing page that everybody sees when they're going to first come to your course. So this is the course updates page. We call it on the studio side. So again, best practice, we recommend updating this on a regular basis while your course is running. A lot of times we recommend whatever content you put in your email that you're sending out to your students, you replicate on the landing page, because as we know, not everyone reads their email, or they may not read it very well. So if there's important information you want to share, we think it's a good idea to put it in both places. And this is the area where you would do it. And as you can see, you can keep an archive of past updates as well, and you can leave them all up there. So if students come to your course and they want to get caught up, they can do that. Or you can delete old updates. It's totally up to you. Also over here on the right, we also suggest if you have resources that you want your students to access on a regular basis, you can keep them in this right navigation area here under this heading, and you can have whatever heading you want. So for this course, we have a variety of assets that we have linked out to, and you can have your own syllabus. You could have maybe a website you want people to look at. It's up to you, but there's a lot of flexibility here about where you put your content. So the next area I want you to go into, and again, this is from the student perspective, go ahead and click on Course. And this is where we have, remember we said yesterday we'll give you access to the PowerPoint presentations that we're showing in soft copy version. This is where we have them, is within this course area. So again, on the left side, and of course I've got the slowest internet here, on the left side you're going to have the menu bar of all of the training presentations. So it's organized by online course design and development, blended learning, media best practices, and course community management. These were, and course administration. These were the sessions we covered yesterday afternoon, if you were here for that. So let's start with course design and development. And you can jump down to learning theories and key design considerations. And within that learning sequence, we have some sample activities of things that you could do in your course, just to give you some ideas. We have here a word cloud. So again, you have course author access, so you could actually go into this course and look at how we set up the word cloud if you wanted to. But this is one optional activity that you could do if you would like. The next unit we have here, these were some of the sample courses we looked at yesterday. So if you couldn't remember what they are, you can come back here to refer to them. The slides that I showed yesterday, we have here. They're shared on the Google Drive, so you can go back and look at them. And then if you're interested in other sort of instructional design content, we have a video about universal design for learning, excuse me, another video about blended learning, and a little more information about that teal classroom that I think Mark showed in the blended presentation, which is the sort of the flipped classroom model at MIT. So, excuse me. So I want to give you all a few minutes to explore this area and see the content that's in there. And then you can go down to the Getting Started with the edX Platform section and go down to the Getting Started with the edX Platform. Okay? And just explore some of the content and see what's in there. And I'm going to see if I could change. Okay. So any questions? We're going to get ready to transition to doing basic assessments with Zach. But I just want to check in now. Do people have questions so far? Is everyone able to get into the training course and find the PowerPoints? And if you're not, raise your hand. So I'm going to have you come up and, okay. Okay, excellent. So while Zach gets set up, I'm going to float around and field any other specific questions people might have, or if people have any questions now that they want to ask, I'm happy to answer them. They might be helpful to the whole group. Anyone have any questions so far about what we've covered? Are people feeling pretty comfortable, like they could jump in and start to build a course and add content at this point, at least some basic